Sturmgeschütz III, Germany's workhorse of armored warfare. Among the myriad of armored vehicles developed and deployed during World War II, few matched the combination of versatility, firepower, and sheer production numbers of the Sturmgeschütz III. Initially intended for a role far removed from tank-on-tank combat, this self-propelled gun evolved into one of the most effective and widely used tank destroyers of the conflict. Unlike its larger, more famous cousins like the Tiger and Panther tanks, the Sturmgeschütz III earned its reputation through adaptability and cost-effective design rather than raw firepower alone. Origins: a gun without a turret. The conception of the Sturmgeschütz III traces back to the 1936 directives of the German Wehrmacht. The German army wanted a mobile artillery piece that could accompany infantry and provide direct fire support against fortified positions, such as bunkers and machine gun nests. The traditional field artillery was too slow and vulnerable, and tanks at the time were limited in gun elevation and firepower for this role. General Erich von Manstein was one of the early advocates of such an assault gun concept. The goal was to create a vehicle that could keep pace with infantry units, provide protection to its crew, and deliver high-explosive shells directly at enemy strongpoints. The design philosophy was rooted in the doctrine of combined arms warfare, which emphasized the coordination of infantry, armor, artillery, and air power. The designers at Daimler-Benz selected the chassis of the Panzer III, a proven medium tank platform already in service. Instead of a turret, a fixed, low-profile armored casemate was mounted directly on the hull, saving weight and simplifying production. This turretless layout had both advantages and disadvantages, which have become more evident as the war progressed. Technical evolution and design variants. The first version, the Sturmgeschütz III Ausführung A, was equipped with short-barrel 75mm StuG 37L/24 gun. This howitzer-type weapon was effective against static targets, but lacked the velocity to penetrate enemy armor reliably. Nevertheless, it performed admirably during early campaigns in Poland, France, and the Balkans, where its original purpose, infantry support, was still valid. By 1942, German encounters with superior Soviet tanks, such as the T-34 and KV-1, necessitated a change. The Sturmgeschütz III was rapidly upgraded with the longer and more powerful StuG 40L/43 and later L/48 guns, capable of defeating the sloped armor of enemy tanks at combat ranges. With this change, the Sturmgeschütz III transitioned from an assault gun to a tank destroyer. Successive variants, OSF, F, F/8, and G, incorporated improvements in gun performance, armor thickness, optics, and crew ergonomics. By the time of the OSF G, the most produced version, the vehicle boasted up to 80mm of frontal armor, a cast gun mantlet known as the socket blende, pig's head, and side skirt armor plates to provide additional protection against anti-tank rifles and shaped charges. Production efficiency and strategic impact. One of the Sturmgeschütz III's most significant advantages was its cost-effectiveness. Lacking a turret, reduced complexity, and production time. Each unit required fewer man-hours and raw materials than a traditional tank. This efficiency allowed German industry, under increasing strain from Allied bombing and resource shortages, to continue producing large numbers of Sturmgeschütz III vehicles even as other armored vehicle lines faced delays and shortages. Ultimately, over 10,000 Sturmgeschütz III vehicles were built, making it the most produced armored fighting vehicle in Nazi Germany's arsenal. This high output allowed the Wehrmacht to replace battlefield losses more easily and maintain defensive capabilities, even during the later years of the war, when offensive operations were no longer feasible. Battlefield performance and tactical employment. Although initially designed to support infantry, the upgraded Sturmgeschütz III proved especially deadly in defensive roles. The vehicle's low silhouette made it ideal for ambush tactics. German crews often positioned these vehicles in concealed locations along expected enemy routes, delivering accurate fire against advancing armor with little warning. The fixed gun, while limiting its firing arc, encouraged tactical discipline. Crews were trained to plan their fields of fire, reposition deliberately, and rely on combined arms coordination with infantry and reconnaissance. As a tank destroyer, the Sturmgeschütz III was not designed to hold ground alone, but to deny enemy armor freedom of movement. Its lack of a rotating turret became a liability in urban warfare and fluid situations. In close quarters, especially in places like Stalingrad or Normandy's bocage, turreted tanks had the edge. Nonetheless, well-handled Sturmgeschütz III units inflicted heavy losses on Allied and Soviet armor, and they were often used in mixed units alongside other tank destroyers like the Panzer IV or full-size tanks. Variants and specialized roles. The Sturmgeschütz III platform proved so versatile that it spawned several variants and spin-offs. The StuG III, for example, mounted a 105mm howitzer for more potent high-explosive support, particularly in urban or fortified environments. Another variant, the Sturmgeschütz III Flampanzer, was equipped with a flamethrower, although only a handful were produced. Some units were fitted with infrared night fighting equipment, though this technology was in its infancy and rarely used effectively. Others received mine rollers or winterization kits depending on their theater of operation, service with Axis allies and foreign forces. Beyond the German army, the Sturmgeschütz III was exported or supplied to various German allies and client states. Finland, in particular, made highly effective use of the vehicle and kept it in service well into the 1960s. Finnish crews regarded it as reliable, easy to maintain, and lethal against Soviet armor, even in the rugged terrain of the Nordic front. Captured Sturmgeschütz III units were also used by the Soviet Union, Yugoslav partisans, and later, in limited numbers, by Syria and other Middle Eastern countries. Its post-war presence on the battlefield underscores the vehicle's practical design and longevity. Historical significance and legacy. The Sturmgeschütz III may not evoke the same awe as a Tiger tank or the sleekness of a Panther, but its strategic value far outweighed its lack of flair. It embodied the principle of doing more with less, combining firepower, armor, and cost efficiency in a form that matched Germany's increasingly defensive military posture. Where the Tiger was a sledgehammer, the Sturmgeschütz III was a scalpel, precise, resource-conscious, and brutally effective when used correctly. In many ways, it foreshadowed the modern tank destroyer and influenced post-war designs that emphasized low-cost, high-impact vehicles. Today, surviving Sturmgeschütz III vehicles can be found in military museums across Europe and beyond. They serve not just as relics of a bygone era, but as reminders of how innovation can reshape even the most rigid doctrines.